Tim Berners-Lee is a man who created the internet and can be called the birthday of the internet on October 29, 1969. Now, let's take in order. In our day, technology is developing at such a speed that we will not be able to imagine the full picture, and unconditionally, social networks have been profoundly integrated into our daily lives. From the beginning of the internet to the present day, the system has undergone a global change. But it's worth noting that this change affected not only technical possibility, but also the way of the life of a person. The way of thinking has changed. People have radically changed their perception of the world. Some professions have been replaced by others. Today, people of the 21st century cannot imagine their life without the internet. That other changes are waiting for the population of our planet with the invasion of the internet. What is it capable of? Social media is a rather insidious environment that actively manipulates consciousness. Sometimes consciously, sometimes not so much. Sometimes it's in someone's interest, and sometimes it just happens that way. But there is nowhere without them. They have become an integral part of life. On our age, we now use social networks more often than we eat, drink, and communicate. Teenagers devote as much as 9 hours a day to online interaction. This is more than they spend sleeping and spending time with their parents. Young people between the ages of 18 and 24 check their phones on average 82 times a day. On the one hand, a social network is a very convenient tool for quick messaging, finding old friends and new acquaintances, storing important information, and discussing pressing issues in groups without leaving home. On the other hand, psychologists and psychiatrists around the world are sounding the alarm. Dependence on social networks too often causes serious mental and nervous disorders such as depression, social isolation, autism, and even suicide attempts by teenagers and young people. In my opinion, social networking sites can be both useful and dangerous, depending on who uses them and how. And I want to try to analyze their advantages and disadvantages. First of all, social networking sites are very convenient for those who need to keep in touch with people living in different sites or different countries. With the help of such a site, you can quickly create a group chat, send the necessary files to several people, share photos and videos, or even start a video conference. And all this is absolutely free. And social networks can be a great solution for people with disabilities or those who for some reason have to stay at home all the time. In some situations, they can completely replace real communication and help such people not to feel lonely or social isolated. Numerous special interest groups allow them to find friends and interesting dialogue partners. Sometimes social networking sites help to find really valuable and useful information. In different groups, people from all over the world discuss various issues, share their personal experience, provide useful links, write comments and reviews about product and services. You in turn can ask any question and get answers from different people. Also, social networks provide an excellent opportunity to disseminate any information in the shortest possible time. Many people today learn news from the internet. If something really important has happened, the best way to let people know about it is to publish the information. Today, thanks to internet access, it has become very easy to gain knowledge. There are a lot of different courses on programming. Now it is not difficult to learn languages. Is it not grace from God? It remains to overcome your laziness. It was one side of the medal. Unfortunately, there is another one, not so bright. For a huge number of children and teenagers, social networks have almost completely replaced real life today. Some of them spend so much time online that the line between life and virtual reality becomes blurred for them. As a result, children suffer from a lack of live communication. Also, they don't even realize it. This inevitably causes mental disorders, affects their health and mood, and prevents their normal socialization. Moreover, in addition to useful content, any social networks contains tons of useless, harmful, and dangerous information that is easily accessible to children. And violence, drug propaganda, and other forbidden content are regularly removed by moderators, but it appears too quickly for them to handle it. We spend several hours browsing the Instagram. All this information is stored in our subconscious, which slowly affects us. And no matter how trivial it sounds, we waste time on useless things. Here I want to remind you of the word of the prophet about time. There are two benefits that many people lose: health and free time for good deeds. The great righteous Hassan al-Basri said, "O son of Adam, you are your days, and when the days goes away, a part of you goes away." Social networks are used not only for communication, but also for harming people. And it is not so much psychological pressure as calls for radical actions against oneself. And since the internet depersonalizes and gives an imaginary sense of impunity and power, an increasing number of people who in real life would hardly so join this game. You and I can notice how much bad things are written in the comments under a certain post on social networks. People don't feel any responsibility for what they say. They say whatever they want. Let's not forget the words of the Prophet, peace and blessing of Allah be upon him, who said, "The one who keeps silent will be saved, and as well as the one who believes in Allah and the day of judgment, let him say only good things or keep silent." There is one more point that I would like to draw your attention. I was at a conference that was devoted to the dangers and benefits of the phone. And one of the participants said these words: Every person has an ego or otherwise nafs, as we all know. And its core, the nafs constantly pushes us to disobey the Almighty, commands us to do evil, attract us to entertainment. And so we get such an ideal tools and the World Wide Web. And instead of looking for useful information, spreading good, positive things, we look at forbidden things, slander people. And I think that you will agree that all our actions should be paced through our religion, Islam. Only then will social networks benefit us, not only in this world, but also in eternal life. You can often see such a picture when two people are walking, for example, friends, and one of them is tightly buried in this smartphone and actively browsing something. At such moments, a layer of social networks disconnects from reality, actually goes offline, which makes real interlocutors feel useless and often even angry and often offended. Sometimes the addiction becomes so strong that scrolling through Instagram posts or liking the next tweet, you can completely forget what you wanted to do. Many people who like to sit in social networks around the clock note that when they lose their phone, they feel as if nothing is happening around them. And indeed, social networks are filled with tons of content every second, from super useful to utter garbage. And most consume it without noticing the differences. Information arrives every second and the brain adapts to it. And when such a person gets back into reality, it seems to him that everything is too slow, boring and pale. He just has nothing to do. Use a social networks, understanding what you need it for. That is for specific task. Thus, we will be able to get maximum efficiency from this. I wish myself and you to understand what is good for us and what is harm, and use the opportunities for the common good. Thank you for attention.